What's the entry point for my business? How do we start using it and deploying it? And there's really four, I think, levels of big data deployment. They are what I call selective, correlative, reactive, and finally, kind of the crowning glory, which is predictive. Right? So let's look at examples of how companies are using these. Who was it that said 50% of my advertising is wasted? I just don't know which 50%. Well, here's the 50% of your advertising that gets wasted, right? It gets thrown outside the mailbox. And that's not uncommon. And in fact, if you look at the average flyer, this is a CVS flyer, if any of us in the room were to look at that flyer, I'll bet you would say that only a handful of the products in the flyer are relevant to you. Right? And I would look at it and say, well, that's true because only a handful of those products are relevant to me. And that's been the case with advertising, right? Let's show them everything and hopefully they'll like something. So instead of getting the same flyer, everybody, right? You get your own digital flyer that really includes only the products that are relevant to you, the stuff that you buy and the stuff that you're going to react to if it's on sale. Tesco is taking the same approach, but they're refining their inventory assortments and their assortments in store by looking at weather. You know, how many times have you gone in to buy a parka, but the seasonal stuff isn't out yet, you know? Or you need a pair of shorts because it's still sunny out, but the inventory's turned over already because nobody was paying attention and they brought in all the winter stuff, right? So Tesco is now saying, look, let's deploy inventory to stores based on the weather patterns in those local areas and be sure that we've got the right merchandise sitting in stock. Other correlative stuff, like what if I were to tell you that if you eat this and drink this, instead of the pasta, the rice, and the spirits, that you are going to get a lower rate on your car insurance, right? It sounds crazy, but it's true, right? Because if you deal with Woolworths in Australia, this is a retailer that sells groceries, and they also have an insurance business. They took the data from their loyalty program and their grocery business, and they overlaid it with data from their insurance business, and they found that people that eat red meat and a lot of dairy have far fewer car accidents than people that eat rice and pasta and spirits. Right. So now they can send out offers to the customers that they know are going to be the best insurance risks. And this is bringing us down to this level of what I call kind of the segment of one. Right? Because segmentation sort of went from, well, if you go back 500 years, it was one, right? I made a certain product for you, Megan. I didn't make it for anyone else the same way. And then all of a sudden the Industrial Revolution happened and we became segments of millions of customers, right? We have 3 products for the entire population of millions. We're getting back to segment of one again, right? So State Farm and Ford, for example, data coming off a Ford car can be streamed right up to State Farm. State Farm can know exactly, Trish, how you drive as opposed to how I drive. I get a different rate than you. Mine would be lower, of course, because I'm a better driver than you. But segment of one, my price based on my behavior, totally different thing. The next level is this level of real-time reactive. And this is where companies are doing some fun stuff and some really interesting stuff as well. But Coke, for example, has a new vending machine, and this is in Spain. And the price of the drink inside the machine actually changes as the temperature changes outside. Right? Why should you pay the same amount for a drink when it's cold than when it's hot? But they did it in reverse. Right? They actually said when the temperature is below 80 degrees, we're going to charge $2.40 for a can of this limonada, is what it's called. And as the temperature rises, we're actually going to lower the price to make it more tantalizing for consumers to actually want to buy one and try it in the hope that they will and we can quench their thirst. And they'll have that association of this drink and a quenched thirst. So as the temperature rises, the price falls. So the machine is constantly collecting data from the outside world. And this is, in a sense, not unlike what Amazon does every day. If I check a price on something on Amazon at 2 o'clock and I go back at 4 o'clock and check the same product, the price may change. And in fact, Amazon will do that several times a day, sometimes even within the same hour. They'll change prices on products. It's called dynamic pricing. And it's taking into account things like competitive activity, it's taking into account the demand of the product itself, popularity of the product, and the reviews that it's getting. Now, and this is, believe me, raised some contention because I wrote an article about it and people actually started like freaking out about it. It's actually making its way into physical stores.